Happy Saturday. It's not a happy Saturday at all for me. That's the reality that I'm figuring out of just chronic illness, mental health, life in general. I don't know what my dogs are barking at. I'm not even gonna attempt to go figure it out. So far, the videos I've posted have been more on the supplements I'm taking and kind of the things I'm doing to overcome the fatigue, but I haven't really talked about the mental health aspect of what all this can do to you, which is interesting. I haven't talked about that because that's the field that I work in. It's a proven thing that people can get PTSD from chronic illness. You can get major depression from chronic illness. There's studies of people getting depression after surgery. I watched it happen to my mom after she had a knee replacement because her mobility was gone. She felt like she felt like her life was gone. She couldn't get out and do her regular routine and all this kind of stuff. And I can honestly now say I relate to that. But when your mental health is down because of illness, and when it's an illness that not a lot of people can relate to, and it's an illness that still so many people for some reason think is fake, or just because they haven't heard of long hauler COVID, or they don't know about chronic fatigue or whatnot, that makes it even more difficult. Yes, this foundation looks too light. Trust me, when I get done, it will work. I have a wedding to go to tonight, and it's a church member of mine. Family is very close to me. Believe me, I want to go. Everything in my body says no. Mentally, I'm to a point where I'm just like, how much more? My dog has a very aggressive cancer. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't terrified that I was going to lose him. I spent the majority of yesterday making phone calls, trying to get him into a vet sooner, because the spot that I found that initially looked sort of harmless has doubled in size, is now red. And when I call the vet that I've been working with, they give me some medication and they say, okay, well, watch the spot. If it's better or if it's not better, give us a call the first of the week and we'll see about doing something. Well, this is after you just told me that you can't move his surgery up. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to be better because you just gave me an antibiotic, a broad spectrum antibiotic and steroids. I'm tired of being tired. I'll push through a lot of things. I'll especially push through when it comes to my pets. Going back to the wedding, I want to go tonight. I want to be there for these people. I love this family. I also want to sit at home with my dog because even though I know that I caught this thing early, how much it's spreading and moving, it terrifies me. I hope that surgery and wide margins gets it all and we don't have to deal with this. I also, the realist side of me who's had cancer, but who's also had too much time to sit around and research this, is like, should you be sitting around spending every minute with your dog? Which I know we don't get our pets forever. I know we're not promised that, but it's a lot. My normal outlet for all of this would be exercise. Well, that video is still coming, by the way. Last night was just not it after making all those phone calls. I'm getting a treadmill, a little fold-up treadmill for my house, and I'm going to start walking, just as much as I can in my house, building my strength back up, building endurance back up without killing myself, because having that outlet is important. Because dealing with something like this, it's a big deal. When your mental health is tanking, your physical health is going to tank right along with it. If you don't believe me, look it up. Just do a tiny bit of research on it. And like I said, when you're dealing with an invisible illness and something that they will look you in the face and tell you, we know nothing about this. We don't know how to treat it. We don't know the first place to start. You are on your own, and you've had to do all the research on your own. You've been to ERs for them to tell you nothing is wrong with you. Okay. You're talking to the same person who could exercise multiple times a day and then gets winded walking across a parking lot. But okay, nothing's wrong. Strangely enough, on YouTube last night, I found an interview that was Anderson Cooper interviewing two ladies in New York. One was a former personal trainer, one a former marathon runner. Marathon runner had run New York City Marathon, I think the Boston Marathon. You can't just run those, by the way. You have to qualify for those. I know that because one of my best friends that I work with has run the Boston Marathon. I mean, you have to be an athlete to do those. Both of those ladies, who are in tremendous shape, said that having COVID itself was not so bad. And I said the same thing. It's what has snuck up afterwards that has been bad. This stuff that has just come out of nowhere. The extreme fatigue. The one girl that was the personal trainer said she can't go to the gym. Walking up a flight of stairs just into her apartment will send her heart rate just sky high. I understand that too. She can't carry grocery bags. I mean, and Anderson, you saw this look on his face of, is this a reality? The other girl, who was the marathon runner, she had been to the ER multiple times for doctors to just tell her, it's anxiety, it's all in your head. Well, doctors, number one, need to do better. Just because you go to an ER and an ER can't find answers. I've worked in an ER, and a lot of people think when you go to an ER and they can't find an answer or tests come back negative, that's a good thing. No, it's not always a good thing. You need to dig a bit deeper. Is there something else that you should be looking for? But when you've gone, and I've been in her shoes, when you've gone to multiple ERs and doctors have looked you in the face and said, nothing's wrong with you. One of them told me I was just under too much stress, manage my stress, whatnot. That messes with you mentally. You think, am I not a strong enough person? Especially when you're someone who's been told your whole life that you are strong. You think, am I not doing a good enough job now? What happened to the strong person? And at a certain point in time during this, if you don't have a good support system, if you don't have faith in, I'm very much the first one to say, I'm a Christian. I grew up with a Baptist father. If I didn't have my faith that this was going to pass or work out somehow, I might be under a table somewhere, drunk all the time, or who knows what. If you don't have something to hold on to, I don't think that some people could get through this very easily. That's why I highly encourage people who are going through this to reach out and to go to therapy, because you don't need to try to shoulder this one alone. You just don't. And I would also go so far as to say, go to a therapist who you don't know. A lot of people tend to seek out therapists that they know, or maybe people that are friends of theirs who are therapists. I didn't do that. The therapist that I picked, now my job is different. I call on therapists for a living. But the therapist that I picked knows nothing about me. Person knows nothing about my life. Person doesn't know my parents. Person doesn't know anything. that's a great thing, because that person doesn't come in with any sort of biased perspective. But what that person does know is that mental health and physical health go hand in hand. So on a day that I'm having like today, when if it's hard for me to even get out of bed and take a shower, because I've been trying to convince myself to do that for hours now. And I waited so long that I finally said, Lisa, you have to. And I don't want this statement to sound the way that it does, because God forbid the people whose wedding I'm going to see this. When you're in a minister's family, all the time, we have to do things that maybe we don't necessarily feel like doing. We're tired, we're sick, we've been through things on our own. We have our life, we have our storms that we're weathering. It doesn't matter. There's things that we have to do all the time because we are the minister's family. You know, my dad's doing this wedding. My mom's been helping decorate for days. This is a family that I love. They're near and dear to my heart. I don't want to miss this for the world. My body is doing what it's doing, saying we're tired, we want to sit here, we want to do this. My mind, my anxiety is racing, saying it's going to the worst case scenario, which it always does. It did this when my cat, Taylor Swift, got sick. And I'm trying to use the side of my brain that will say sometimes to that side that goes to worst case scenario, we don't know yet. We've got to get, like, I mean, I'm saying this in reaction to the dog, for, in case you're wondering why I want this open. I'm trying to tell myself, you know, we don't know yet. We've got to get into the vet. We've got to get him surgery. We've got to get the tumor off him. Figure out, did they get margins? What grade tumor is it? There's a lot that goes into it, you know. Don't go down this road yet. But when you combine the fact of it's been a long week, even though this week has been markedly better than the previous weeks, I'm still tired. I have to drive a pretty far distance to get to the wedding, and as someone who drives every day of the week, on the weekends, believe me, the last thing that I want to do is drive anywhere. I have groceries delivered, I have food delivered, I have anything that can be delivered, I have it delivered, because I don't want to go anywhere, because I have just spent a week driving. So I said all that in this video to say, if you're going through this, make sure you have the support system. Make sure you have friends you can call, who are supportive friends, who will listen to you. This is a lot. It's a lot to manage in your head from day to day. You need people who have your back and are on your side. And sometimes you find that online. I found more supportive people online. Now, I have great friends, but I have found more supportive people online than I have through kind of just regular life, which has been a really interesting experience. But whatever you do, don't hold your feelings inside, because you're going to get to a point one day where you're just going, all those things are going to come busting out, probably in a really not so great manner. And yeah, so I hope everyone has a great Saturday. Take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon.